So there has been much debate about how humans acquire language. This argument centers on the nature versus nurture issue. So whether language is innate, whether we are born with it, or whether it is learnt from interaction with others. So now we'll be looking at theories of language acquisition, and we'll first take a look at the behaviorist theory. American psychologist B.F. Skinner believed that humans are born tabula rasa, or blank slates. And therefore they have to learn language. And they do so through imitation of others. Children listen to adults speak and imitate them. When they imitate and the adult is able to understand and respond to what the child says, the child's verbal behavior, as Skinner calls it, is reinforced. However, people had problems with this theory. American linguist Noam Chomsky being one of those people. He disagreed totally with acquiring language through imitation and reinforcement, and did not believe that children need to be reinforced at all to acquire language. Chomsky picked apart Skinner's theory and pointed out some limitations in it. Chomsky stated that Skinner's theory did not explain how children would say words and produce sentences that they had never heard from an adult. For example, children will make the mistake of saying goid or seed or hitted when making the word past tense. This shows that the children are not just copying and imitating what they hear, because adults do not make those mistakes, but it shows that the children are trying to apply language/grammar rules. It is also seen that parents do not reinforce correct grammar, but instead they focus on the accuracy of the statement. Research has shown that parents don't pay attention to the grammar as long as they understand the message from the child. And so Skinner's theory inspired Chomsky's theory of language acquisition. The nativist theory, where he believes that humans have an innate capacity or ability to develop language. He did not believe that a child needed to be reinforced to acquire language, but just simply needed to be immersed in a situation where language is spoken. He believes that everyone has what he calls a language acquisition device, LAD, which is a hypothetical tool in the brain that allows children to learn language easier and quicker. LAD helps children to pick up the complex grammatical principles of their language and facilitates fast learning. Evidence supporting the existence of LAD comes from the fact that all languages share a similar underlying deep structure of grammar. Universal grammar, as Chomsky called it. Universal grammar provides a set of basic grammatical rules that are common in all natural languages, which explains how children acquire and master their language in a brief time period. Chomsky also states that children have a critical period to acquire language. He stated that if children do not acquire language by around age 7, then they will never fully grasp language and will not have fluency in the language. In support of the critical period hypothesis, is the case of a feral child called Jeannie. She was locked in a room by her father from the time she was about 20 months old and to when she was 13 years old when authorities discovered her. Because of her isolation, she was not exposed to a lot of human contact and therefore she had no experience of human language. Psychologists and linguists tried to teach her language. She learned words and vocabulary, but she could not fully master grammar. She was never a fluent speaker. She was unable to fully acquire language. Critics of Chomsky's theory found some limitations. They stated that the LAD was hard to prove. Chomsky stated that it was somewhere in the brain, but where has not been mentioned in the theory. He also does not explain exactly how it works either. Secondly, his theory relies on children being exposed to language, but he takes no account of the interaction between children and their parents and other adults. So is language innate or is it learned? Is it nature or nurture? Well, according to the interactionist theory, it is both. It is believed that there must be a biological component because every child is able to acquire language, but also an environmental component plays a role, where adults are needed to mold and shape the child's language skills. Therefore, it is both the biological and environmental factors, both nature and nurture, that play a role in language acquisition.